One of the key benefits of analytics is being able to segment and customize our reporting. Let's look at some customization of reporting. We do this by clicking on the customization area and we'll create a custom report. Very simple. We just press the new custom report button and we name our report. So I've named this report non-US organic traffic, and I want to understand what metrics and what dimensions am I interested in. So our first metric will be sessions. Then maybe we want to understand bounce rate and revenue. So these are the metrics I'm interested in. As it's country based, I might be interested in what location. So let's type in country, and secondary to that I might be interested in the city. We have three options here to display our custom report. We have Explorer, we have Flat Table, and we have Map Overlay. Map Overlay is only relevant for anything that is location based. Explorer and Flat Table are the most commonly used. Explorer allows you to drill down into different segments and look at them specifically in isolation, and Flat Table presents everything in front of you. So as we have specified that it's non-US organic traffic, we need to add some filters. The first filter we'll add will be the traffic type, which is organic, and we can discover that with medium. So we want to include when the medium is, and we start typing organic and we can auto-populate that. But also we want it from non-US, so we need to exclude the United States. So that's a country, and United States, and we want to exclude that. So at the moment we are going to look at sessions, bounce rate and revenue, understood in terms of country and city, from organic search excluding the US or non-US organic traffic. We select what views we want this report available on and we press save. We are then presented with the different visits, the revenue and the bounce rate for the different countries. Now as you can see, city isn't shown here, but if I were to click in, this is what the Explorer report does. I can see the different cities that have driven the sessions, what the bounce rate is, and if there is any revenue indeed. To go back, we press this all button. We might want to look at a country with some revenue. So we'll sort by revenue, and we can see a good bit of revenue from the Philippines. Bounce rate is below the average of the site, and it's accounting for 1% of all traffic. Let's dive into the Philippines to see what cities are driving that. One large purchase from this city here, 19 visits, relatively low bounce rate but still slightly above the average for the country, and a significant amount of revenue there. To go back, we press the Alt tab. And if we want to edit the report that we see the city alongside the country, we don't have to click in, we can use Flat Table. You can edit the report up here. So let's change this to Flat Table, and notice this change here. So we're presented with our country, our city, and then our three metrics. Let's add a fourth metric here. Let's add conversion rate for e-commerce, but let's move it. So let's move our metric around. We just grab it by the end and move it here, and I've swapped that, and this is why. So when I hit save, I now have a report where I can't click on the country names, but the city is shown beside me. I can see the e-commerce conversion rate I'm just after adding, and I can say sort by revenue. So the majority from the Philippines, then South Korea, we've got stuff in from Melbourne and Australia, and we're able to see where the top cities are, where the top countries are that drive organic traffic, and maybe we can do something around that. So that's a report that we built ourselves and can be shared with our colleagues to understand more about the data. It's also possible to customize the standard reports in Google Analytics. So if we go to acquisition and all traffic and the all channels report, where we can see everything, we can do two things here. Let's add a secondary dimension. This will add another piece of understanding to this. Let's add device. So if we type in device, we can see device category. We now have 22 rows and we'll have to expand this. Just expand it to the max, it's fine, and sort by revenue. So we can see that the majority of revenue has been driven by desktop, and then organic mobile has a relatively low conversion rate, but it is on a mobile. It does drive a bit of revenue. Paid search on mobile, slightly higher conversion rate, fewer transactions and lower revenue, but higher conversion rate, so possibly driving more traffic there could help drive more sales with that conversion rate. And we're able to see all of the channels, what they convert, what the conversion rate is on each. This table here is quite detailed, so this can then be exported. Every single report in Google Analytics can be exported apart from the real-time reports. So you can export, pressing the export button up the top, as a PDF into Google Sheets, as an Excel document, or a CSV. Depending on the report type that you want, you should choose the one most appropriate to you, and always make sure you know what your date range is. So the secondary dimension gives us another level of understanding within this report, and putting it into Excel or Google Sheets allows us to manipulate and understand the data in a far more insightful way than visually in the Google Analytics interface. To remove the secondary dimension, just press the little X here. Another way to understand the data is by segmenting using the custom segments up here. Let's create a new segment. There are a list of predefined segments in there that we may want to use, but let's create a new segment. We're able to choose from demographics, so we can choose, are there certain demographic features that we are interested in just seeing, what technology they might use in terms of operating system, device model, device category, what their behavior is, the number of sessions, days since the last session, session duration and number of transactions per user, date of the first session, was there any effect of your campaign activity which launched on a certain date, what the different traffic sources are, and then we've got segments around advanced e-commerce. Let's create a segment around behavior. So let's look at the number of people greater than or equal to 2 transactions. We get a preview of the size of our segment over on this side. So 6 users had 2 or more transactions. Let's name the segment 2 or more transactions, and we save it. And we can compare it to another segment. Let's compare it to all users. So we can see that there were 143,000 users who visited the site over that period, 1st of July to the 21st of September, and 216 of them had 2 or more transactions. The conversion rate for these guys quite high, as you can see, obviously because they had 2 or more transactions. The average session duration also quite high, a very valuable audience. So let's see what drove 2 or more transactions in terms of revenue. So let's look at what drove 2 or more transactions. We've got direct drove the majority of 2 or more transactions, and equally a good load of single transactions, but referral drove the majority of single transactions and second here. So we're able to see that people who come in direct have a higher tendency to purchase than people that come in on referrals. Likewise, this goes down with organic search and paid search. We're able to segment and understand up to 4 different custom dimensions here to understand our data and how it interacts. Using custom segments is something similar but slightly different than filters. So when we put filters on our views, it's a permanent feature. We're kind of saying only show PPC traffic for this view, only show traffic to the blog for this view. We're then able to add custom segments to the reports of that view to chop that data up a little bit further. When you add a filter, it applies from the day that you add the filter. whereas a custom segment can be applied historically and it can be removed. If you want to remove a custom segment of your report, you press this little arrow here and then remove, and everything goes back to normal. Whereas with filters, it's a permanent change in your data, it's a permanent segmentation. Use custom segments often because they do allow you to understand the data on the fly, and they can be understood in terms of secondary dimensions again. So the three main ways to understand your data will be custom segments up here, secondary dimensions here, and then filters on the views that you create yourself. There are also filters you can put on your custom reports for that view, add dimensions and secondary dimensions and custom segments to that as well. There are also times when you might want to understand activities that you have taken that just need a note for yourself. These are called annotations, and you can create them by pressing this little triangle here and then create new annotation. And you can write something in on a specific date. So say we launched a campaign on the 1st of September and it was called September Sale. We can save that. And then on the 1st of September, we have a little note here saying this was when the September sale launched. Over time, when you leave yourself little notes in your annotations along the way, you're able to use them to understand when things happened, when you launched campaigns, when the site went down, when a new competitor entered the market, when there was a change in consumer intent. You can add little notes for yourself. This can help you then explain spikes in traffic. If you're seeing a spike in traffic and there's a note around that area, click on the note, which is the annotation, and understand what exactly happened in that area and is it related to the spike in your traffic. There are numerous ways to use and segment data in Google Analytics, all of which can be very useful to marketers. Explore the reports, the left-hand menu here. Create your own reports in Customization. Segment your data using secondary dimensions, custom segments and filters. Export your data using the export function, which is available on every single Google Analytics report in PDF, Google Sheets, Excel docs, or as a CSV. If you want to share your data with stakeholders, you can schedule a report and get it sent to your email address. You can set the frequency down here when this report should be sent, specify the attachment, and you can write a little note explaining what exactly it is, and you can schedule that. You can draw insights from your Insights tab here. These are some recommended insights around what Google Analytics is seeing itself. Following on from scheduling reports, we're able to get custom insights and alerts in the Discover section. So use Google Analytics to its fullest. It's an incredibly powerful tool, excellent for understanding any kind of marketing activities and commercial activities in your day-to-day and in your future career.